Okay, so here we are today on a Glowworm Ultimate, and the issue with this boiler is apparently that it will it will light the pilot. Here's the fan. You can hear it sparking. Doesn't even seem to be lighting the pilot now, so maybe the engineer's left the gas off. So let's have a look at that, see if I can open this. So it's the layout of the electronics. And that's right, yeah, the engineer has left the gas turned off to this appliance. Okay, we don't even seem to be getting the pilot right now. Spark doesn't seem to be fantastic either. So let's see what we got to the gas valve. That's the next thing. So pilot solenoid will be EV1. That's the first one from the isolation point. So that'll be pilot solenoid. So we'll check that first, because apparently the pilot does light, and then the boiler won't light the main burner. So just get this, and we'll use this wiring diagram to figure out what we should be testing for the pilot solenoid. That's the first thing we'll do. Right, okay, so here we have a U-gauge tube set up on the inlet pressure, and we've determined that the point we need to test is in there. Hold on. Is there? You can see it says GV2, N, and GV1. So that could quite simply means we've got one neutral and the two lives. Okay, so the live we want for the pilot solenoid, if we look here, EV1 is closest to the gas cock, so that must be the pilot solenoid. And once that's established, it then opens this second solenoid here for the main burner. So we need to test that GV1 there, that brown wire, is getting 240 volts when it's sparking. So that's the very first thing we'll do. Okay, so here we are. The pump's running on the system, I can hear it. Got our test points across the live and neutral on there. Try and get it in focus, there you go. Now we're just waiting for the fan to run and it to try and spark. Oh, I need to turn the boiler stat on. Look, it's a Fluke multimeter, so no harm's done by leaving it on DC and putting it on AC. So I use the Fluke. As you can see there, we have 240 across there when it's trying to light the pilot. The pilot's not lighting, so we either have no gas, a bad spark, the inlet pressure is good, it's remaining stable, the voltage is stable to the gas valve. So now all we can have is some sort of blockage or a poor spark. The spark doesn't look particularly good to me, so that's something I'm going to look at right now. Actually, before I look at the spark, what I'll do is prove the pilot solenoid is actually opening. Prove that that mechanically is opening up. So I know electrically it should be. I'm going to prove mechanically it is. And the way I do that is put that in there. And when I turn this off, we should see this drop. And it does. So that's a good indication the pilot solenoid is opening. So what I'll do, let me turn this off. Turn this back on and off. And it holds pressure. So the pilot solenoid is definitely opening, but we're not getting a pilot right now. So let's investigate that. Okay, so I've just taken the case off, and I'll always check the case seal when I first take it off at the beginning of the job, when you remember. So every time I remove a combustion chamber cover, I'll check the case seal to make sure it's okay. And this one is absolutely fine all the way around. They often get damaged right here where all the HT lead, pilot tube and all that pass through, but this one's still nice and spongy and is all in place. Okay, so now I'm going to check that spark. Seems okay actually. We know the pilot solenoid is opening, so I'm going to now check the pilot injector on this. It's hard for you to see because it doesn't always pick up every spark on the phone. But I can see it spark every single time. On the phone, I missed that one there, but to the eye it's sparking fine. It's just the frame of the phone didn't pick it up. So that looks okay. Let's find out why there's no gas coming through. Okay, so here's the pilot assembly with the injector, with the electrode removed, and in here is where you find the injector, the 2-hole injector, and the way you see if it's blocked, or the way I see if it's blocked, is like this. Let's try and get it to focus in there. This one looks okay. You can see through that. Okay, so I did just give that a clean out with a tool. So they are much better. Quite well defined now, so that's definitely not going to be the problem. I'll do a side-by-side comparison on that, but that does look clearer to me. So let's clean up the pilot now with a wire brush for sparking purposes, and I'll take out the pilot tube and blow through it. Side by side, this night and day when you look at them, it's really obvious which one's clean. And that's not reaming it out, that's just cleaning it out. So here's the old pilot assembly just before I cleaned it, and a few minutes with a wire brush and it comes up good as new like that. So there's no way a spark won't jump onto that and be nice and clean. So obviously clean the electrode. Okay, so this pilot tube is all clear and clean. I always add just a tiny bit of paste to these olives, not for sealing purposes. I just add a tiny bit to both ends of this. And like I say, it's not for sealing. What it does is it gives you like a, as you tighten it up, it helps. It makes tightening up these tiny fittings nice and smooth, so you actually get a feel for how tight they are, rather than as you're tightening it, it's very raunchy and biting into itself. It allows it to tighten up smooth, and you know how tight you're getting it, so you never over tighten things. I do that on radiator valves as well. It just allows any olive. It just allows for smooth tightening, which helps you understand how much torque you're putting into it. Okay, so you see what I mean by light coating. Very, very fine coating of paste on these. See, very fine coating of paste. Also make sure you always clean this primary air port here. So if you don't do that, you get a very poor pilot. So, I mean, that's basically done, but okay, make sure you do that. So that's one nice clean pilot assembly with a known clean injector. So we're starting from the right points now. Next is just the pilot tube. Once that's done, it's the only thing it can be is adjusting the pilot on the gas valve. Okay, just looking down the pilot orifice on the gas valve there. Everything looks good in there. Can't see any problems with that. So I think now we're going to get a pilot. So that's all cleaned and back in. As you can hear, turn it on, the pump runs. Let's see what happens now. Spark looks good. Straight away, first time, you see that? Ready? Straight away. What did that take? Clean the pilot. Straight away, first time. So what I'm going to do now, let's get this off for a sec. Let's get on wide. Right. So what I'm going to do now that we know the boiler works, actually let me show you that on wide one last time. Straight away. Straight away. Straight away, see? So now we know this works. So now we know we've got this working. We're going to put all of this side of things, pilot and all that back together. By the way, you can see the leak detection fluid dripping off that. I had LDF on that to make sure as soon as that lit there was no leaks, because these are where you always leave gas leaks, on these tiny little fittings, hence why I paste them, so when I tighten them up it's lovely and smooth, and I put LDF on them so I'm testing them straight away, and as you can see they were fine, no bubbles on them. So we'll get this back together. Got the mandatory tape for the HT lead on an ultimate, just protects it against all the sharp edges there. We'll get this back together, and now we've got to set up this gas valve, because this gas valve was just fitted. It hasn't been set up, so set up the gas valve to the burner pressures on here. See if we need to set up the step function, which the step function is it on this gas valve? No, it isn't. Okay, so on some of them, see where it says step here, there'll be a step function there, and what that is the soft light on the gas valve. So if you have one of the bigger boilers, it definitely has the step function, and what that does is that controls the ramp up from when the pilot lights to main flame, and if you have that set wrong, these will light with a bit of a boom. So on this one here, as you can see, it doesn't have it, so we don't need to do that. So let's get it back together and do some more tests to make sure it's all safe and everything else. Okay, so that was 16 millibar. It's meant to be 4. I know, it's meant to be 10.8. So to adjust the burner pressure on these is an 8 or 10 mil spanner on the nut underneath that black cap back there. Okay, so I'll remove that and then I'll show you. Anyway, that's an 8 mil spanner. So what I'm going to do, because I don't know what way that's meant to turn, because I can't actually see on it, I'm just going to turn it one direction and see if it makes a difference. So I'm going to turn it clockwise, and then I'm going to try and leave my spanner on there. So if that's made it higher, I can just adjust it straight back. Still 16. I'm going to try another sort of half a turn. Lower. Okay, so now give it a good twist. Down at 15 now. 14, 12, there we go, where we're at, 9.5, so we want 10.8, from there we're at 9.5, so we need to just adjust it back up. So the first bit you've got to do quite quick because you don't want the boiler to overheat and it will burn in at 16 millibar. Okay, so as I adjust that up, you should see this changing. Now that is a hot burner pressure. Of 10.8. So I'll set that to 10.5 and give it a few minutes running, and while that's running I'll go and get the analyzer out of my van. Pretty good flame picture in there. As you can see, that's creeping up as it warms up. You must always remember that the burner pressure will rise. On one of these ones that actually specify hot, the burner pressure rises ever so slightly. And it specifies hot on the data badge here. There you go. Hold on. Hot burner pressure 10.8. Obviously, I've tested all the joints you would interfere with when changing the gas valve. So all these, flat seals here, well, there are O-rings in there, but I've just checked all of that with leak detection fluid. And on the inlet, so analyzer time. Here we are. Seems pretty stable. That is brilliant. Get it back together, leak detect the last couple of joints, and we are done. Boiler fixed.